Testing, testing. Hello everybody, and welcome to the latest rounds of Tier 3 of the Scientist Reverse Grid League. First race tonight in Abu Dhabi. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Hope you have had a lovely day with your significant other. What better way to spend Valentine's Day than with some Formula 1. So we'll start tonight in Abu Dhabi, a track that's pretty much universally loathed amongst the F1 community. And then we move on to Singapore. So 2 races under the floodlights tonight. So you can see our competitors listed on the right hand side as the guys load up their setups and prepare for the formation lap. I'll quickly run down the championship standings. So heading into tonight, Hosty is effectively the runaway leader of the championship on 223 points, followed by Bizzle on 143, Mitch on 125 and Senko on 122. And then there's a bit of a gap to Butler, who's not racing tonight, on 60. DB Coop is also not racing tonight on 59. Max on 48, Utsi on 44, Ice on 44, and GT and Eskimo in joint 10th, rounding out the top 10 in the championship. In the constructors, it's a two-way battle, I would say, maybe possibly a three-way battle between Racing Point, Red Bull and Mercedes. If you want to, for the guys who are in the league, if you want to get the full details, then jump on the Discord while I get the telemetry set up. If you guys like seeing any particular telemetry, like such as the ERS graphic and things like that, do let us know for future. Let's keep it up just now. Actually, I think it might block the view, so let's get rid of that. Okay, so let's have a look at the tyre situation. So we've got just 2 drivers starting on the medium tyres, and that is the top 2 in the championship. So that's Bizzle and Hosty, while everyone else is starting on the soft tyres. So maybe the majority of the people are expecting an early safety car and want to play the long game. But we shall see, as we have Utsi Kev and Daddy Pig disqualified from the formation lap. Should say our resident commentator for Tier 3, Infamous, is not with us tonight. So hopefully I will do just as good as Infamous does every week, as Ice leads the field round on the formation lap. And I think he's quite eager to get underway because he's leaving the guys behind him ample time to warm their tyres. And we've got a few guys new to the grid actually tonight. We've got Jay Kelly in the AlphaTauri, Callum in the Red Bull stepping in for Coop, Jimmy O stepping in for Epic, and Pete stepping in for Butler. Of course, we've seen Pete before in Tier 3, but Jimmy O, Callum and Jay Kelly making their debuts tonight. So as the field make their way to the grid, we have our 5 lights, the traditional Codemasters glitch, and we're underway in the floodlights in Abu Dhabi, and Merle the Wizard there in the Ferrari getting a fantastic start, and there's a collision there with Ice, and He drops to P3 with the Mercedes taking advantage. That's the Mercedes and Mitch as they all file around the first couple of corners. And there was a problem there for Fnatic, and at the back end, a lot of front wing end plates being damaged there. And it looks like Callum and Vans have been involved in that, but no yellow flags, so that's a good start from the guys. So let's have a... We've got a bit of a battle here between CD and Hosty. Hosty already making up places on those medium tyres as they head down the long DRS straight, and look at Hosty. Not wasting any time. He's going to make a move on ice. Oh, and he spins Bizzle round. That was an unfortunate incident there between the two championship contenders. Although Hosty is quite far away in the championship, Bizzle is his nearest rival, and Bizzle has spun out and is down to P14. So some drama in the opening few corners here in Abu Dhabi. So let's have a look at the... and we've got a pit stop already for CD in the Ferrari. Must have wing damage. And we've got JK in the pits as well. So look at the position changes. Pete in the Ferrari. He has got his foot down there and has made it all the way up into the top 6 after starting dip plumb last. What a fantastic start from Pete. Let's get the delta back. That's more like it. Hosty now chasing down Ice, who he was battling with on the opening lap, but then had a coming together with D Bizzle. But at this stage of the race, Hosty on the medium tyres is looking very good, and he's got the slipstream on ice. The DRS isn't activated yet, of course. Hosty goes to the outside. Ice commits to the inside, and that's good defensive driving from Ice there. Hosty can afford to take his time, knowing that Ice will have to make an early pit stop, but he's well within DRS range, so he's bound to get him on the big long straight. And we've missed a change for the lead actually, so Mitch has got past Merle's the Wizard up to P1 and is now starting to build up a gap and break the DRS. So a good start from Mitch, who started P3 and is setting the fastest lap of the race. Senko, I think, has moved up a couple of positions off the start. And here's another fast guy, UC Kev, who's now set the fastest lap of the race. He's disposed of Pete, who's in 7th, and Max in 8th. And the guys at the back, CD, and we've got another pit stop, this time for Callum in the Red Bull. Front wing change onto the medium tyres. So CD, JK and Vans all had first lap incidents, which meant they had to pit early. And D-Bizzle decided to stay out as well after that spin. Oh, and we've got a change here for 5th place between Yutzi and Senko. And further up we've got Ice and Hosty. So as predicted, Hosty... Oh, and there's a collision there with Ice. Oh, I think Hosty had the move done there, to be quite frank. And that mistake there has cost Ice dearly, because he's now dropped behind Daddy Pig and Max. So Hosty having his fair share of incidents in the opening laps here in Abu Dhabi. So he's now up to P3 with Yutzi, or Just Kev, or I'm not quite sure how to pronounce his name. I'm sure I'll be corrected. So Mitch now building up a pretty commanding lead over Merles in 2nd place in the Ferrari, followed by Hosty in the Racing Point. And Yutzi on the soft compound tyres is catching Hosty, who's on the mediums, of course. Bit of a lock up there from Hosty into turn 1. Let's stay with this battle here as they head down to the end of sector 1. And just look at the pace difference on the different compounds of tyres. Yutzi is showing some real pace at the moment, this early stage of the race. Be interesting to see what he's like on the medium compound tyres later on. Let's take a look at the telemetry. He's got some ERS, he's going to use it with the power of the DRS. Hosty has no answer for that. So Yutzi Kev now moves up into P3. And now we've got Max and Daddy Pig. Oh, and we've got a yellow flag. So the cars are slowing down now. It's a virtual safety car. So what brought out the virtual safety car? A DNF for Callum. So we missed that off camera, but I suspect that's what's brought out the virtual safety car. So the problem with Abu Dhabi is such a long lap that I mean, you want to take advantage of a pit stop under yellow flag conditions, but we're back to green anyway, so never mind that. Let's rejoin this battle between Pete, Max and Daddy Pig. So Pete made a fantastic start from P18 up to P6. And Daddy Pig gets a good exit there and is possibly one to pull the move off on Max into turn 1. Not quite there yet. The best overtaking opportunities are the 2 long straights, and look at Daddy Pig, look at the showing some real pace here. So will he get a double toe off Pete and Max? And oh, Daddy Pig did well there to avoid the collision with Max as they head round the hairpin. Hairpin time, not quite here, that's Austria. Anyway, onto the DRS straight. Max is going to have Pete for lunch here. And then Daddy Pig may pick up the sloppy seconds on the next back straight. So Max, textbook manoeuvre on Pete. Now Pete has to look in his mirrors for Daddy Pig. Pete has DRS himself on Max, of course. And thinks about the move. And Daddy Pig also had to get out of the dodge there to avoid the collision. So some good measured driving from the 3 guys here. Further back we've got another freeway battle, this time between Bizzle, Ice and Jimmy O. So Bizzle on the medium tyres has done well to recover after that incident with Hosty earlier in the race. And Jimmy O is actually pitted, so he's one of the first of the soft runners to pit, other than those who had the first lap incidents. So let's cut back to this battle here because Daddy Pig is within the DRS of Pete. And Pete's picked up a 3-second time penalty, so we'll take a look at the penalty situation towards the latter half of the race. And Pete got good traction at that exit and has managed to build up a little bit of a gap. And wow, Pete's got some powerful DRS tool here. Does he think about making a move? No, not quite. Slipstream is so powerful in Abu Dhabi. Now, the second straight. And again, I think Max is just about enough to hold on to that, and likewise with Daddy Pig. And Daddy Pig seems to be closing up on Pete a lot in the braking zones in that really tricky chicane. Oh, and Daddy Pig's lost it on the exit. Oh, what a shame, he was showing such strong pace there. And that's the price you pay. If you're a little bit eager and excited, you put the throttle down a bit too early and you spin out, so that's an unfortunate error from Daddy Pig. And Mitch is pitted. So Mitch, who was leading the race, is now pitted for the medium tyres. Senko is also in the pits for his pit stop, and Bizzle is the first of the medium runner. Oh no, Bizzle hasn't pitted, my bad. So Max is now in the pits. Ice is now in the pits. Daddy Pig in the pits. A lot of the soft to mediums strategy's playing out, and we've got a front wind change for Ice. Takes the lead, so Mitch now retakes the lead. So Mitch now retakes the lead after Hostie's pit stop due to the collision with Bizzo early in the race. A front wind change for him. And we've got Merle Wizard back up in P3. So it'll be interesting to see how far Hostie gets into this race on the soft tyres. Will he be able to challenge Mitch and Yutzi for the win, given the pace that he's shown throughout the season? Bizzle's another one to watch out for on these soft tyres. So let's cut back to the lead, because Yutzi Kev is within the DRS attack zone of Mitch. So this is the problem with Abu Dhabi. If you're going to pick your battles, you have to wait until the straights usually. And oh, what the hell? That was a massive crash from JK, joining us from Australasia tonight. And does he have damage to his car? You can see the lag a little bit, I think, but amazingly he doesn't have damage to his car. That was an unusual onboard. And now another freeway battle, this time with Jimmy O, Bizzle and CDM. And Bizzle gets a time penalty for that little corner cut there, but there's a bit of a Pete train happening here. And Pete gets his foot down out of the exit with CD, Bizzle, and Bizzle's going to pull off a move on CDM here. DRS, straightforward. Jimmy O getting a nice view of the Ferrari rear end there. So Bizzle beginning to make a move on the medium runners in front of him. His next target is going to be Pete, who's actually done pretty well to defend a lot of the moves that he's had to face. Max has had a rather quiet race, but a very solid job in P6. And Oh, and Bizzle's actually lost some ground to the Ferrari here, and that's CDM forcing Bizzle wide, and CDM gets the one. And Bizzle, if he's not careful, is going to lose out to Jimmy O. Let's come back to the battle for the top three. In fact, the battle for the lead, because Mitch and Yutzi less than less than half a second between the two, and Yutzi is surely going to get Mitch here, because Yutzi's got around 50% ERS compared to Mitch's 20. But Yutzi's not even having to use the ERS, so he's going to wait for the next DRS zone before he pulls the move off, I think. So this is going to be crucial for the race win, I think, this move. And Yutzi round the outside and gets the move done before they even reach the chicane. So nicely done. And Hoste has got past Merle's the Wizard. I think Senko got past in that battle as well, and Hoste is already up into P4 now, and is and it looks like Senko's let him through. So was there an illegal overtake there maybe, or was this Senko playing being tactical and thinking, well, Hoste's going to get past me eventually on the soft, so I might as well not waste any time and let him through and just race my own race, because I'm having to defend from a very fast Ferrari behind me. So something's happened to Bizzle. He's dropped to 13th now, so not quite sure what happened during the battle for the race lead, but look at Yutzi, he's already made up nearly 2 seconds on Mitch. And Hoste, I don't think there's enough laps for him to catch P2, but I think he'll set up a P3 all the same. So now Pete has Jimmy O behind him. That's the closest battle on track, to the best of my knowledge. And Jimmy O has got DRS and DRS, so Pete's trying to break the toe. And I think under these circumstances you just have to accept that you've got a fast car behind you because of DRS. So nicely done by Jimmy O. That's sensible driving from Pete as well. And Pete might actually try and come back at him with DRS of his own. Goes to the outside, late on the brakes, and what a fantastic move that was. Hats off to you, Pete. That was some brilliant driving from Pete and Jimmy O. An excellent race from these two guys. The two stand-ins tonight. Let's have a look further down the field, what's happening. We've got GT, Fanatic and Vans Racing having their own little personal battle for P15 and 16. So these guys have, I think, had incidents on lap 1 that compromised their race, but as things stand, they'll be at the front of the grid for the next race in Singapore. Currently, pole position will go to Psychopath, who's running P17. So let's have a look at the penalty situation. As we head towards the end of this race. So the top 3 have no penalties, and then we have a cluster of guys on 3 seconds. So Pete, although he's driven a fairly impressive race, has actually picked up 9 seconds worth of penalties, so he could end up finishing outside the points, which would be a little bit harsh, has to be said. But in the meantime, he's under attack from Jimmy O again, and that's an interesting line, and there's a bit of a coming together between the two, and robust defending there from Pete. But Jimmy O's got DRS here. Pete managed to salvage the move last time with DRS of his own, but and again some good defensive driving here. I'm not sure if there was any wing damage in amongst that. or if Pete himself has got wind damage. Yeah, both the wings are clean, so all's fair in love and war, guys. And for the battle for the lower points, paying positions are between CD and Ice. Ice, who started on pole position, but had a incident, I think, that caused him to drop down the order. So Abu Dhabi Grand Prix tend to be a little bit of procession, a very long procession, but this one's been quite entertaining to watch. And oh, what happened there? That looked like a racing point. It's Jimmy. He's lost it going through that fast right-hander and has dropped out of the points. Doesn't have wing damage. I think he just simply lost it under acceleration, and that is disastrous for his chances of getting a championship point or two. And we've had Vans Racing left the session, so I think he's had connection issues. So, oh wow, look at this. So that incident for Jimmy O has cost him positions to CDM, Ice and Daddy Pig, who's back up in the points. Daddy Pig lost it under acceleration himself early in the race, so he's done well to recover, and there's going to be a collision between Ice and CDM, and that opens the door for Daddy Pig, but Ice did well to recover. Oh, and that's questionable driving there from the Mercedes. I'll have to call what I see, and that did not look good, and that has cost Ice championship points, surely, from wind damage for the Haas. So even though Jimmy O spun out, he might still get points because of penalties in front of him, but Bizzle now is all over the back of Daddy Pig, and Bizzle's surely going to get him here going into turn one. And in fact, yeah, I think Daddy Pig eased off a little bit there. So it's all pretty settled up in the top 4 or 5 positions, I think. Let's have a look further down. Yeah, Ice is struggling to keep it. And what's going on here with the AlphaTauri and the Renault? And we've got a retirement GT. So GT's lost it and DNF'd into the wall by the look of it. So his chances of starting at the front for the next race have gone, and has to be said the same for Vans, because Vans is disconnected from the session, unfortunately. So Jutsi wins the race. Normally I try to catch the race winner, so apologies for missing that, but Jutsi wins his second race in a row after winning Monaco last week. Mitch in P2, Hosty in P3, Cinco is going to pick up P4, another solid drive from the Alpha. Strong drive from Merles the Wizard in P5. Max, solid if unspectacular P6, but I think he'll be happy with that after some incident patch races in the last few. So Pete crosses the line in 7th, so on merit that's a pretty strong drive from him. He drops though because of the penalties. So CDM picks up P7, Bizzle is P8. Pete gets points in the end, so I think he has very much earned that in spite of the penalties. And Jimmy O picks up the final point in P10. Daddy Pig in 11th, JK in P12, Eskimo 13th, Ice, a race to forget for him I think, P14. Psychopath will cross the line in P15. Vans disconnected, and we had the other 2 retirements. So that was Abu Dhabi, folks. Driver of the day and the extra championship point. I could probably make an educated guess, but it didn't show up on my screen there. But I could probably make an educated guess from the number of positions gained overall. So it could be Pete for all we know. So there's Jutsi Kev on the podium celebrating for the Williams team. hopefully one day we'll see Williams on the top step of the podium again, along with celebrating along with Mitch and Jose. So there's your top three. Fastest lap goes to Jose, so extra championship point for him. And yeah, I reckon Pete is driver of the day, judging by the number of positions gained. We'll confirm that with the guys. But there's your top 10. So Callum and GT Fanatic were DNF'd, and Vans Racing also classed as DNF due to losing connection mid-race. So we're going to take a break and we'll be back for the next Grand Prix in Singapore. So stay with us. Oh, bollocks. I've done this stupid thing and put myself on the grid. I've done this stupid thing. Okay, I will quickly retire from the session if I can. So, anyway, apologies guys. Yeah, the reason I'm trying to speak quietly is because my kids are trying to sleep, so apologies if I don't appear as animated or as loud as normal. So I think I've put myself at the back of the grid by accident because I just noticed GT Fanatic disconnected there and had to reconnect, so I had to put him in his grid slot. And I didn't have enough time to then go back into spectate. So I'll just do this. Yeah. Hopefully my retirement on lap 1 doesn't bring out a safety car and cause chaos. I don't know if you can actually retire from the race on the formation lap, so anyway. Instead of restarting the lobby, we'll do this. Let's see if I can. Nope. Can I actually? Let's just do this. Okay, that's fine. So, welcome to Singapore. I can't even tell you who's where on the grid at the moment. I think Psychopath is on pole position, so we'll just have to sit here pretty on the grid while we wait for everybody to come round. So apologies for... No, I don't want to do that. So Singapore, again a bit of a Grand Prix that's a bit maligned from some, but actually loved by some. I don't mind it personally, but it's a very long lap and requires a lot of concentration, particularly in the wet. It's a very tricky track to drive in the wet. So usually guaranteed a couple of safety cars. At 25% we're probably guaranteed at least one virtual or one full safety car. So key overtaking spots, there kind of is only really two, I would say. The long DRS straight and then the back straight after the bridge section, which is another DRS zone. So looking at the mini-map, there's a bit of a gap. I hope that didn't cause people to pass out. So good to see you guys back on the grid. As soon as the lights go out, I will be DNFing and head into spectate and hopefully commentate on your race. So some guys have absolutely bolted on this formation lap. I think the grid is messed up. Is it? No? It looks okay. No, the grid's fine. Yes, the grid order's fine. I thought for a minute there I messed up the grid. I can't even there we go. So apologies if that brings out a safety car. Ah, crap. That's my fault. That is definitely my fault. Right. Anyway, we can talk about that later. My apologies to the guys for effectively ruining your race with an early virtual safety car. Let's get this off. So, one medium runner, which is Hosty, everyone else on softs. So ignore the fact that I've DNF'd, I shouldn't be in this race. Ice is the man who started on P2, is now in P1, so we've got green flag now. So we've got Ice in P1, Bitzl P2, JK in P3, Psychopath P4, Pete making another good start in P5. And Hosty already making up positions early on. So who got penalties from that? I think of Bizzle. They will all be 5-second penalties, so I think we might get rid of these. But we'll deal with that after. Oh, and we've got a change of the lead, and Bizzle is past Ice up into P1, so an early change of the lead. And we've got Psychopath who's losing positions hand over fist, and Ferrari there of CDM getting a bit out of shape in the tunnel. And Pete is up into P4, and there's a bit of a collision there with... Oh, and what's going on here? Pete blocking the pit entry to the racing point. Some questionable driving there from those two guys. And look at Hosty up into P9 already on the medium tyres. Miles the Wizard now pulling off a move on Psychopath, and we've got a DNF for Daddy Pig Jr. Will that bring out a safety car? Oh, and Bizzle heavy on the brakes there and take over the bridge into the DRS straight. DRS not activated yet, only lap 2 of course. Psychopath, our pole sitters, now dropped all the way down to P10, and we've got front wing end plate flying all over the place here. This GT and Vans again seem to be stuck together on the track. Through the tunnel section as we head into the third lap of the race. So at the moment we've got Bizzle and Ice separated by 0.5 of a second. Ice is looking very racy here, and we've got a DNF for CDM. What happened? Safety car, he's lost it. Everyone is jumping in the pits. CDM has lost it, I think, on the pit straight, and that is really unfortunate for Bizzle, Ice and JK, who were ahead of him. They have to make the long trip round to a pit stop, whereas everyone behind CDM was able to pit. So we've got these guys going on the hard cars, so we've got a full safety car. Bizzle is going to lose a lot of time because he's got a penalty to serve in the pits. And I think Pete's also got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So ignore the fact that my name's at the bottom there. I shouldn't have started this race. So we've got 2 retirements. We've got CDM and Daddy Pig. So Kev is effectively the net race leader at this stage, although he's 33 seconds behind Bizzle. So will Bizzle or Ice or JK be able to serve their pit stop and get out in front of Kev? It's quite possible they will, because Jutsikev is just coming over the bridge now while Ice and Bizzle are already through the tunnel. Yep, so everybody's pitted except the front three, so the front three will have to come in. So yeah, they do. So Bizzle's in, Ice is in. JK has got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, so that's going to cost him time here. So Ice is going to surely inherit the lead because Bizzle has to make a pit stop. Bizzle has to serve a penalty. Oh, and JK actually doesn't serve the penalty, so he'll have to serve it later at the end of the Grand Prix. So Ice is in the lead. Where's Jutsikev? He's coming around the final corner, so he will not inherit the lead. He might be able to leapfrog Bizzle. And Bizzle's coming out the pit exit now, so he's just behind Bizzle. So Ice is the leader of the Grand Prix and has made his pit stop, so it's his race to lose at this stage. It's all a question of tyre management at this stage. Behind the safety car, everybody is on the harder compound, either the hard tyre or the mediums. Hoste, Max, Senko, all on the hard tyres, everyone else on the mediums. So the mediums might work out because they're able to keep their temperatures. Oh, and I think we have to ignore JK's driving because he's lagging quite badly, so we have to ignore the fact that he just hit the wall there on my feed. But he is joining us from Australasia tonight, which might explain the lag, as with Meryl's the Wizard as well, who's from South Africa. So for our very grateful for people around the world joining the league and racing and competing in it, but does throw up issues with lag at times, but still very flattering to have them race on this platform. So I'm going to get a quick drink while we're all under the safety car. And catch my breath. So safety car's on this lap, so I was going to do a brief summary of what happened, but I won't have time to do that because the safety car's in this lap. So Ice is now going to dictate the pace. When does he decide to floor it? He decides to floor it at the last possible moment. The safety... Oh, and he's lost it! He's lost it on exit, and JK is now the leader of the race. And Bizzle, side by side with JK. Bizzle also from South Africa. Bizzle takes the lead. JK gets all out of shape. I wonder if he's got wing damage from the incident with Ice. Well, Ice has managed to recover to P4, but he'll be absolutely gutted. And look who is in P3 already. Unbelievable, Jeff, as my friend Aces versus Kings might say. Mitch is in P2, and Bizzle, after his 5-second penalty pit stop, he'll be clapping his hands, as Balix might say, because he's still in the lead, but he's got two very fast guys behind him in Mitch and Hoste. Hoste on the harder compound tyres, so he won't have to worry about Deg, whereas Mitch might. So this is going to be very interesting for the rest of the race. And Vans is retired from the race, and Jutsikev has left the session as well. What's happened to him? I'm just going to quickly invite back Jutsikev because he's let's see what we've missed during that time. And Ice has now dropped a position to P5 and is under attack from the Wizard, who gets a time penalty. And following closely behind is Senko. So it looks like we're going to have maybe a four-way battle for the lead. And Ice has dropped down because Ice is having to pit, so I think he might have damage after losing it on the safety car restart. And we've got another couple of guys. We've got Max and Jimmy and Callum in the pits as well, so more from wing end plates flying about the place. We've got a yellow flag in sector 3. Lots of guys in the pits from wind changes. And Psychopath is retired, so I think he's just retired in the pit lane. So hard to keep on top of all the action in this Grand Prix. Duty Kev has ghosted, so we'll see if he's able to rejoin, take control of his car. But at the moment, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 retirements. Psychopath, Van, CDM and Daddy Pig Jr. So let's look at this battle here between Mitch and Bizzle. Bizzle sets the new fastest lap of the Grand Prix, so these guys are trading fastest laps, and then you've got Hosty, who is just lurking in the background there, knowing that these guys are going to be punishing their tyres while he's sitting pretty on the hard compound tyres, not having to worry about degradation compared to the guys in front of him. And we've got GT now in the pits for speeding, so GT's having a front wing change as well. He was sitting in P7. That promotes Eskimo. So Eskimo up into P7 now, and Pete as well, who's had a few incidents on track and some penalties off as well. He's up into P8, having passed Jutsi, who I'm afraid it seems has left the session because of connection issues, so it's only a matter of time before he gets caught by the rest of the guys unless he's able to rejoin. So Ice is in P10 now with Jimmy O in P11. Max has gone onto the soft tyre, so he's going for the fastest lap, I think. Callum in P13 and GT P14, so let's jump back to the lead between Bizzle and Mitch. So I think this is going to be the battle for the race win between these three guys. JK a few further seconds behind, and then we've got a battle for P5 and 6 between Merles, the Wizard and Cinco, and Cinco picks up a 3-second penalty for cutting that chicane. Through the tunnel they go. So again, the race order might end up boiling down to who has more penalties than others, but we'll take a look at that towards the back end of the race. So we've got DRS zone here, haven't we, as well as towards the end of Sector 1, and I think Senko is going to be looking to take advantage of that here because he's showing a lot more pace than Merles at this moment on the harder tyre as well. But Merles has got better acceleration. Let's cut back to here because Hosty's now going to get DRS because he's wearing a second of Mitch. And Hosty runs a little bit wide there, a little mistake from the champion-elect at this stage, it has to be said, given the points distance to his rival Bizzle. The top 3 in the race are the top 3 in the championship, just not in the same order as the championship at the moment. So who has the cool head to bring it home in Singapore? Senko now more closer than ever before to Merles the Wizard. Oh, and Senko getting a bit out of shape there coming out of the tunnel. And Ice is driven through the ghosted car of Juicy Kev, as is Jimmy O. And yeah, Juicy's completely lost connection, so they did send him an invite back, which is why I was off screen very briefly, but it is what it is, I'm afraid. Now let's get back to the battle for the lead, because look at this. Half a second between Bizzle and Mitch. Then Hosty again just lurking in the background, and Mitch is very close to making a dive bomb on Bizzle there. How much ERS is Hosty got? Look, he's keeping all that ERS back, and we've got a yellow flag because GT has retired on the pit straight. And Pete has made another excursion into the pits and is looking to maybe try and steal the fastest lap by going on the soft tyres. So Mitch, look at this. 3-car battle for the victory potentially. None of them have penalties as well, so it could all boil down to penalties as well. This could be the difference between the victory and the middle, or the middle or the bottom step of the podium. Now, DRS for Hosty and DRS for Mitch. How close can these two get? Hosty's saved all his ERS. Bizzle has managed to extend the gap a little bit there. Hosty, if anything, is getting closer to Mitch. So has the dirty air contributed to more tyre deg for Mitch, while Bizzle has clean air, so less degradation, and obviously Hosty's got the harder tyres, which are less, will not have as much degradation as the mediums. And Senko has finally got past Wizard. We missed that. But that, I think that move had been coming. I think Senko was getting quicker and quicker. So a good battle between these two guys, between the works Ferrari and the customer Ferrari team, which is basically a Ferrari B team with an Alfa Romeo badge on it, or a Sauber badge back in the day. Or you could say that accolade belongs to the Haas team now. Speaking of which, how is Ice getting on after his adventures? He's still in the points, and there's a nice little 3-car battle between Eskimo and Jimmy O. And Eskimo runs wide, and that opens the door for Jimmy. Jim's Cubbins help my Bob, we get through. Nicely done. And Ice is also battling with Eskimo, and that's a bit untidy from Ice. I think Eskimo might have wing damage. Let's have a look. Nope, his wing's clean, so it was fortunate there was no damage there for Ice, but that was a bit robust. And then we've got, oh, and I apologise, we've got a change for position in the top 3. Hosty's got past Mitch. Well, while I was watching another 3-car battle, we've got a change in this 3-car battle. So Hosty's now leapfrogged Mitch, and I reckon he must have done that on the with the DRS straight. And Hosty now, can Bizzle hold his nerve with 4 laps to go? How much life has he got in those mediums? Big lock up from Hosty there. I think we'll need to stay with this battle for the rest of the race, because there aren't many other battles happening on track at the moment, because Jimmy O and Ice have cleared Eskimo. And if anything, Hosty is beginning to drop Mitch, because Mitch is now fallen out of the 1 second less than 1 second DRS zone. So, and Hostes and Bizzle's made a mistake as they head into turn 3, turn 2, turn 3. And Hoste bides his time. He doesn't want to, he doesn't need to pull off a risky move, and Bizzle is defenceless to the DRS here. Hoste leaves enough room, and that's a beautiful move. Fantastic driving. And for Hoste, I think the positions he made up at the start of the Grand Prix, or at the start of the safety car restart actually, have earned him this win. And he just picked and chose his moments wisely and carefully. And I think he made the strategy work in terms of the harder compound tyre lasting the distance compared to the two mediums behind him. So Bizzle and Mitch, flawless drives from the pair of them, it has to be said. At the end of the day, you're defenceless to the DRS, and the more rubber on track, and we still might have it, but it's still not over though, because I mean everyone's liable to making the odd error, so we'll just have to wait and see. We've got a change down in the bottom half of the top 10 between Callum and Eskimo, and Eskimo's now fallen out of the points. He was running in 7th, and in the space of a couple of laps has now fallen to 11th, so Max and Callum have moved up into the top 10. Callum making his debut tonight, so good outing from him. So again, the closest battle on track is between the Mercedes of Mitch and the Red Bull of Bizzle. And Mitch picks up a 3-second penalty, so Bizzle will know that now. So he can perhaps rest on his laurels a little bit, unless he's got some corner cutting penalties already and he has to be careful. And not sure why he switched to AI there briefly. But maybe he was wanting to check the penalties in the menu. Maybe he's not got it on his customizable display. Jutsi unfortunately is still ghosted, and so he's effectively classed as a DNF as Pete on those soft tyres. I wonder what his deg is like. He's been on them for 3 laps. Max has been on his for 6, so see what his deg's like at the end of the race. But it looks like the top 10 are pretty settled at this stage, unless we'll have to have a look at the penalties now. So Senko, who cleared Merle the Wizard a few laps ago, is actually going to inherit P4 at this stage, because Jay Kelly has got 8 seconds worth of penalties, so that's a 5-second and a 3-second corner cut penalty and a 5-sec for either speeding in the pit lane or for a virtual safety car infringement, because so that could be, that'll play into the hands of Senko. And Bizzle has just been passed by Mitch on the DRS, so maybe Mitch is going to try and build up a 3-second gap to Bizzle. It's going to be difficult within a couple of laps to go, but that looked like a clean, bold move from Mitch, so to recover his 2nd place. And so Bizzle's now dropped to P3, but he will re-inherit P2. Senko doesn't want to inherit P4 for penalties, he wants to get that on merit on track, so he's catching Kelly fastly. And it looks like these medium tyres are beginning to show their age now, because Hoste and Senko have made them work beautifully. And Senko gets past Kelly coming off the bridge. So well done to him. Further back, we've got penalties for Ice, Callum and Max. So Eskimo might be able to inherit P10, because Max has got 3 seconds worth of penalties, but Callum's a 6, so again we'll have to see how that pays out when the cross line is there. The drivers head on to the final lap of the Grand Prix. Hosty is, wow, built up an extraordinary 5-second lead. Mitch is going to try and finish P2 on track, while Bizzle knows that if he doesn't make a mistake or execute a corner cut penalty, he will inherit P2. Meanwhile, 20 seconds down the road, we've got Cinco in P4, Jay Kelly in P5 with a very good drive in his first appearance in Tier 3. Wizard, solid drive in P6. Another good drive from Jimmy O in P7. Ice will probably look back on these couple of races with some remorse after what happened in the first race in Abu Dhabi and then losing it on the safety car restart. Callum from back of the grid to P9, solid job. And Max, who had a great race in Abu Dhabi, will still be satisfied, I think, with a points finish, but he's under pressure from King Eskimo here. And then we've got Pete, who's being chased by Hootsy Kevin, is about to be lapped, I think, by Hosty, as Hosty, well, not quite lapped. Will he lap Hootsy Kev as he crosses the line for the win? Not quite. So, a champion's drive from Hosty. Fantastic drive. Bizzle inherits P2. Mitch in P3. Brilliant driving from those three. Congratulations to the podium winners, podium finishers. Senko will cross the line in P4. Another batch full of points for the Alfa Romeo Canadian. And Jay Kelly there over the line for P5. And Jimmy O, wow, he caught up to Merle the Wizard towards the end of the race and has actually leapfrogged him on penalties. So Jimmy gets P6 in the Pink Panther. Merle's finishes P7. Ice P8. Callum in P9. Oh, and he's lost his front wing. What happened there? How far back is Max? Callum will probably finish over the line, but he's going to drop behind Max here because of penalties, I think. He must have damaged his front wing on the final lap. And in fact, Eskimo finishes in P9. Callum in P10, and Max misses out on the final point by 7/10 of a second. That's absolutely gutting for him. Too many penalties, I suspect. And then we've got Pete battling with the ghosted car of Jutsi Kev, who actually passes him. So I think Pete must have damaged his front wing on that last lap as well. So a brilliant first race in Abu Dhabi for Pete, but less so in Singapore. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the Singapore Grand Prix. Driver of the day, well, are we surprised? Hosty picking up an extra championship point. So Hosty holds aloft the trophy under the night sky in Singapore, along with Bizzle in the Red Bull in P2 and in Mitch in P3 in the Mercedes. And fastest lap actually went to Jimmy O, so he gets the extra championship point for that, so congratulations to him. So Hosty wins, Bizzle second, Mitch third, Cinco fourth, JK fifth, Jimmy O sixth, the Wizard in 7th, Ice 8th, Eskimo 9th, and Callum P10. Then we've got Max. Jutsi Kev will be classed as a DNF due to the connection issue. Peter W in 13th, and then we have our DNFs, which include GT, Psychopath, Vans Racing, CDM, Daddy Pig, and some dodgy geezer in P19 who shall remain nameless. So, thank you very much for watching and tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. and we shall see you hopefully Friday for Tier 1 and Tier 2 with Balix, John Banter and hopefully Chatty Duck, and then Tier 3 again next week. Thank you again for watching and keep safe. Goodbye.